Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about this $900 computer and if it's actually good enough to be used as a professional video editing computer. Let's jump into it. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory as to why I needed to purchase a new computer. At the end of 2020, I decided that I wanted to upgrade cameras to a cinema camera lineup. Whenever I decided that I wanted to upgrade, I didn't really understand everything that would go into upgrading to a cinema camera and how that would change my workflow, so to speak. And so at that time period, I was working off of a fully spec'd out MacBook Pro, and I think it was a 2017 model, but I had the fully spec'd out. And so I bought the camera and I went out and shot just a couple of test shots with my wife. And whenever I came back in, I sat down and started to edit, and I couldn't edit the footage at all. I would click play and it would literally just stutter the entire time and wouldn't allow me to play back anything. The only workaround to this was obviously to transcode all of my footage into proxies, which is basically just turning your footage, your files into smaller files, and then once you're done editing, you would go back and change them back into normal files for color grading and so forth. And what that does is that adds so much time to your workflow. And at that time, I was like, I can't do this. Like every time that I want to edit something, I would spend so much time just doing these small little steps before I could ever get into editing or anything. And so I knew at that time that this wasn't going to be a long-term solution for me in working off of my laptop that I had. And so I began, during that time, that's when Apple announced their M1 chip, and I began to see some videos and some posts about people using it for editing and how it would handle anything. And so I was like, well, at that point, I didn't have anything to lose. I was spending so much time and getting frustrated trying to edit on my current computer that at that time, for $900, I was like, it's worth a shot. If it doesn't work, I'll just send it back. Simple as that. And so I got the computer in, and I was immediately blown away by the performance that this $900 computer had, most definitely compared to a fully spec'd out MacBook Pro that I was previously using. And so I got my computer and I unboxed everything, and then I decided that I wanted to take that same footage that I was using on my MacBook that wouldn't play back and put it on my Mac Mini to see what it would do. And as soon as I clicked play, it played it back perfectly smooth, like it was nothing, like it was almost like 1080 footage on my MacBook Pro. Then I went into color grading, the color grading panel in DaVinci, and I added some color grading and stuff like that. And once again, the footage played back perfectly smooth. The only time that I really have problems is whenever I add film grain. And film grain is one of those things that is going to cause problems no matter what type of computer that you have, pretty much. And so that's the only time that I really have issues in playing back footage. And so I want to take you into the computer and actually show you inside just how well this computer plays back the footage. So let's jump into the computer real quick, and we'll go into DaVinci and we'll play through some of this footage for you. Sweet. So inside DaVinci, we are just looking at the cut page. And this first clip here, as you can see over here, it is 4K. So it's a 4K clip. It's recorded in Apple ProRes 422. And so let's go ahead and let's just take a look at how well it plays back with that. So as you can see at 4K footage, Apple ProRes 422, it is playing back perfectly smooth. And also another thing is that I'm also recording my screen at the same time. And so it's recording my screen and also playing back perfectly smooth with this, which is crazy to even think about. So this next clip that I have, it is recorded in 5K. 5K, also Apple ProRes 422. And also, before we get too far, as you can see, my proxy mode is off, so it's playing in full resolution, and my timeline is, my project setting is just a 1080, is 1920 by 1080 timeline, which is what I always edit in. So those are my settings, just so that way you know. So this next clip is right here, 5K per Apple ProRes 422. This was shot in 24 frames per second. So let's go ahead and play that back as well. So as you can see there, the clip's playing back perfectly smooth. This is 5K again. And these are really big files, like really large files, by the way. And so it's remarkable that it's doing that. So the next clip that I have here, this is for another project that I shot. This one right here is 6K. So this is in 6K Apple ProRes 422. This is also recorded in 24 frames per second as well. So let's go ahead and play that. So once again, perfectly smooth 6K footage, Apple ProRes, crazy. This last clip, or not the last clip, but this next clip that I have, once again, is 6K resolution, Apple ProRes, but this one is in 48 frames per second. So just to give you an idea of a little bit of a slow motion, more frames per second idea. So let's play that back. So as you can see there, once again, plays back perfectly smooth without any issues at all. And so now this last clip is 6K once again, but it is recorded in an H.265 codec. So as many people know, H.265 is typically a pain to work with. A lot of systems just can't handle H.265 all too well. So let's give this a playback and see how well the Mac Mini can do with it. So, as you just saw, 6K H.265, 24 frames per second, and it plays back like like perfectly smooth. It is crazy to think about. But so now let's transition into the color page, and we'll go through the same exact clips, but we'll add coloring to it as well. So on this shot right here, I just have a Rec 709 LUT that is taking my footage from Z-Log into a Rec 709 profile. I just have primary adjustments, so exposure, saturation, white balance, stuff like that. I have a power window, and then that's it. So let's play back this. Remember, this was the 4K footage, ProRes 422. So as you see, I'm playing at full speed, 24 frames, and it's playing back perfectly smooth with a color grade on, as well as recording my screen. So let's hop over to the next one. So this one, once again, is 5K, 24 frames, and then in Apple ProRes 422 as well. We'll throw a simple grade on it. Once again, it's the same as that thing as the other one. Rec 709 LUT, a primary balance, and then a power window as well. So as you can see, color grade on, and it plays back perfectly smooth as well, which is once again crazy. That was 5K. Now let's move into 6K. And so same thing here. I have a Rec 709 LUT, primary adjustments, and then skin tones for that. So let's play back this 6K, 24 frames, and see how well it does. So as you just saw, 6K ProRes 422, color grade on, plays back perfectly smooth. Now this next one is once again 6K, but it is 48 frames per second. And basically on this, I just did a Rec 709 LUT with a primaries adjustment. And as you can see right here, playing back at 23.976 frames. So playing back at real speed. And then lastly, let's look at this. So this is the H.265 4K. So once H.265 6K, sorry. So once again, I have a Rec 709 LUT. I have basic corrections. I have a power window, and then that's it. So let's see how well it plays back. So as you can see with that, H.265 6K plays back perfectly smooth with the color grade. So now let me show you what I mean with the film grain and the issues that you run into with film grain. So I'm going to take this 6K clip and I'm going to add film grain to it. I'm going to change this to 35400T, and I'm going to increase this grain size a little bit. So now film grain is added onto the clip. And if I click play, you see that I'm not getting perfect playback. It's choppy just a little bit, which is still impressive because we're talking about 6K here and adding film grain, and the computer is still playing that back pretty well. But that's really the only time. Now I haven't messed with like the Fusion panel and stuff like that. I'm sure if you got into that, it probably would kind of break down a little bit more. So just to give you, in this video and give you final thoughts and my conclusion, at $900, the Mac Mini is an incredible steal. Like I said, I came from a fully spec'd out MacBook Pro, which was almost $3,000 or was $3,000, and I couldn't edit 4K. I could barely, in most cases, like once I do coloring and stuff, like it doesn't even like my H.264 footage for my Sony a7 III that I'm shooting on right now. And so going from that to a $900 computer that can edit 6K Apple ProRes, 6K H.264 with a color grade on top of it is incredible. And so I wanted to make this because it has changed my workflow and has allowed me to save a lot of time. You know, I wanted to show just the power that it has and how it can actually improve your workflow and allow you to save that time for such a small price. And so that's going to wrap it up for this. If you have any questions, once again, ask me in the comments below. I would love to address them and get in touch with you and try to figure out a solution to your question that you have. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you aren't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate it, guys. See ya.